Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Best Last Hope for Conversation, your Babylon 5
Last best hope.
Best Last Boast. I am too busy listening to the lovely Karen sing, "We
Oh
didn't start
no.
the fire."
Lou started it. So the lovely
Yes,
Lou and then the lovely Karen.
yes. This is a very special Christmas Eve recording, so we are taking time out of our elfin duties to talk about a fun Babylon 5 episode. At least I think it's a fun one. And I'm looking forward very much to what the guys say about this one. Because if they've talked before about, wow, this seems to be moving fast, I can't wait to hear what they say now. So as I pull up IMDb, because I am totally
Because I am TV.
yes, because I am totally not organized this morning. We are talking Into the Fire, season 4, episode 6, originally aired February 3rd, 1997. And Lou, let's start with you. Quick thoughts?
You remember that there was that series where they had this security chief guy called Garibaldi?
I like that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that show. I like that show. But this episode was, in many ways, felt like a series finale. And if the series had stopped at this point, I would be satisfied with the story. But obviously, there's a season and more than a half to go. What we thought happened in this episode is obviously not the end point. It'll be interesting to see where things go forward. And again, most of the interesting stuff took place on Centauri.
Yeah, Karen?
Agreed. I thought it was and I'm not saying fun isn't funny, but a fun episode, something that was good to watch. I do think that it seems super fast. And like Lou said, this could have been the season finale and maybe a few episodes to wrap things up to show where Babylon 5 is or whatever. But I sit here and I wonder, so what's going to happen from here? What things are we going to see? And I'm assuming they start something new. I'm going to like to see how all the races are working together and things like that. I like not knowing what's coming now at all. There's a sense of just where do we go from here? But I thought it was a good episode. And last week we got the death of Cartagia, and this week we got the death of someone else. That was good. Yeah, fun.
Yeah, and so once again, I'm going to the Lurker's Guide. A reminder, if you're new to this, is actually from J. Michael Straczynski replying to boards after this. And this is his quote: "So far, the general reaction has been, but what now?" Which is exactly the reaction I was hoping for. Yeah. Everyone keeps commenting, "This is the sort of episode you had at the end, not 6 episodes into your season." Yep, we're funny that way.
Okay, so we're not off base. This is how it went down back then, too.
Yeah, and he said the Civil War is interesting, but Reconstruction is its own story, was one of the other things. So yeah, I remember having the exact same feeling, like, wait, what? It's over? Which I just, without meaning to, just quoted a very drunk lady in Houston, which I've told the story multiple times on Set Lusting Bruce. She said that the show was over and we were out in the kind of lobby. It was an outdoor concourse. And she said, "It's over?" We're like, "Yeah, but he didn't do Born in the USA." Yeah, he doesn't always do Born in the USA. But it's his biggest song.
Very drunk lady.
Yeah,
very drunk.
So to this day, anytime I'm at a show and Bruce plays Born in the USA, I pull out my phone and text, tweet, and somewhere there's a very drunk lady in Houston, very happy.
Nice.
All right. Sheridan and them are talking about. We've got the couple that we didn't know we wanted, Lorianne and Susan, discussing this. But I'm going to cut straight to Londo gets a meeting with the head of intelligence. And the intelligence guy, by the way, that's an interesting character. I liked him a lot. I thought he really, for a small part, really played well. Tells Londo, yeah, it wasn't Riva who poisoned the love of your life. It was Morden. And Londo does not take it well. Karen, thoughts on that? And if you want, we can go all the way to Morden's. Let's just go to Morden's final fate and the exclamation point afterward.
Yeah, his name is Durano. I have the wiki open always when we're talking. And I found that this is his only episode apparently. He was delighting in the fact that he could spill the beans to Londo. And it really made me wonder, what is the deal with this dude? Why does he hate Londo so much? Was he a friend of Rifa I hated him immediately. I was like, okay, dude, really? You're going to rub salt in the wound? But I do what came of it, because I don't know about Lou, but Morden is so slimy, and I wanted him to have his comeuppance. I'm glad that it turned out like that. I wonder a lot about, are we going to talk about Centauri as well? Like all the rest of that story as well? Or just...
Yeah, however you guys want. Yeah, just... In fact, Lou, normally we wait for her to take turns, but if you want to step in and kind of discuss, it'd be great.
Yeah, what did you think about that? Do you hate Morden? Or...
Yeah, he seems much more like a puppet than a true threat. So I've never really got that invested in him. He's not like, I'm at a loss here for a good example. I don't know, for some reason, Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
There you go.
comes to mind.
Yeah, he's not the big bad.
Malignantly evil. Yeah. He just came across as a puppet to me, and so I didn't like the character, and we're not supposed to, but I can't say I was like, he's not, who was the king from Game of Thrones, the kid?
Joffrey.
Yeah. Like, he's not a Joffrey kind of character. He's just a annoying bureaucrat, really. So, yeah, that's how I feel about him.
Just saying his name, Joffrey, puts a bad taste in my mouth. I can't stand that kid. Yeah. And the sad thing is that kid in real life is a nice guy, and I hate that he has to live with that.
He actually stopped acting a little bit, right? And now he's come back. Yeah, he was so good in this. What I thought was interesting about Morden is that he comes across after the fact as the little punk bully that is because his two powerful friends are next to him.
Yeah.
Like he's got that little overly compensated because I'm powerful, but really they're just afraid of the people you're with.
And how great was that moment when they took down the two shadows that accompany him? How great was that? And just to see him crumple at that point was, thank goodness. It's like the bully that has never been hit.
Yeah.
Because he has his friends get in the way all the time. And the minute he gets hit, he cries like Cartman.
Yeah.
When he gets hit, he cries. Just one hit. And I like the fact that we saw that side to him. Finally, we see a side where he's helpless.
Yeah.
And it's like right then he realized that he did not have the upper hand for once. And the fact that Londo had the bomb, that he had this whole plan, again, it shows the cunningness of Londo. He set this all in motion, and he decided when it was going to happen, and it was the perfect time. He pulls him in, he kills the two shadows, he has the detonator, and he knows exactly when to hit him where it hurts. I really love that. It really was like they took away everything from him when they killed those two shadows, and that was it for him. He was lost.
Yeah, and so Lou, jump in here. I think that he's this smugness. You won't do that. And I love that Londo gave him two different chances, right? Like, I I really don't want to do this. And he talked about similar to Sheridan last episode asking Bryan Cranston to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
He said there were certain patriots, he didn't call them that, but on Centauri Prom that were willing to, they knew to look this, and he didn't want to do that. But the pushing that button and Morden, no, I thought was really cool. How about you, Lou? Thoughts on that?
I thought that particular moment was very well played. The setup to get to it was a little wonky to me. When did they plant all these bombs on this island? Did they do that before the Vorlons came? And it's hard to believe they did it after, because the Vorlons would notice it. So that was a sticking point for me. And I was also thinking, if you got all these bombs on this island, why are you waiting till the 11th hour before you press the button? So there was a couple of things with that setup that were a bit wonky to me. However, the moment where he got to press the button in front of Morden was, was definitely delicious from a character payoff point of view. And as Karen mentioned, the shooting of the two Vorlons, not Vorlons, shadows on either side of Morden was great, because it really just showed you how much of a puppet he was. And God knows maybe they were even feeding him his lines the whole time as well. So we have no idea. I thought that all played out really well. And then the bit where Londo thinks he's succeeded, and yet the shadows are still coming, because as Veer points out to him, because you told him that you were on this planet. So even like one piece of connection to the shadows is enough for the Vorlons to want to destroy that planet. So and I've totally expected them to raise the planet, because we've seen that forward flash. And so that it didn't happen here is probably one of the things that I'm going, okay, so obviously this is going to play out differently, and this is going to be a future storyline. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, it was like all the Centauri stuff was really good. And the last little bit with Veer getting to do his little wave goodbye to Morden's head on this pike was also another delicious moment. But yeah, it was all really well done. Londo's outburst when he finds out it was Morden that poisoned his girlfriend was really well played. I think the intent was to make us feel some empathy for him, but I still don't. I still think he's irredeemable. So I wasn't really too sympathetic to his finding that out. It's just when you walk the wild side, wild things are going to happen to you. If you live by the sword, you're going to die by it too, kind of thing. But yeah, so this is the part of the episode that at least gives a glimmer of what the future direction of the series is going to be, because we still have to see how G'Kar gets back on Centauri, as well as that parasite that gets attached to Londo as well. So
yeah,
that's another reason why the Centauri story works so is because it's leaving open doors, whereas I felt like the Babylon 5 storyline really felt like a closed door. We know that Sheridan and Delenn are in some sort of future conflict as well, so there's a door open there as well. But in general, I just really felt like the Babylon 5 storyline had been closed. Of course, there's a power vacuum now. All those people that were on Earth that were in bed with the Vorlons or with the Shadows, what are they going to do now? As well as the Psi Corps and the president. So I guess there's stuff, thinking about it a bit more now, there are storylines there that need to be closed off as well. It'll be interesting to see if, like Sheridan's he's like probably the most powerful guy in the galaxy right now, because he was able to bring together all these different alien races and factions. So is that going to set up a conflict between him and Earth? And that'll be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, I would add that I think he and Delenn together are like that power couple, because she did get all the races together. She's in charge of the Rangers. If you take them separately, I would say that Sheridan is higher on the scale, but when you put them together, I feel like they really do make that yin and yang kind of thing, where Sheridan's more of a warrior. And although she's in charge of the Rangers, I think she's more of a peacemaker. I like them together, and I like the fact that they have done this big thing together. And last week, I posited whether Marcus was going to be on the ship or not, and it did turn out to be true. It's not he was sent out with her, though. He showed up, And I was like, yes. I don't know why I'm so invested in that. And one of the thoughts I had was about Centauri being raised. And there's the whether fate can be changed or not, time travel trope. So part of me is thinking they've changed things, and part of me is thinking they've only delayed it, because whatever's supposed to happen is supposed to happen. And I know they've addressed this on the show as well, that things are going to happen even if you put them off, because we've already seen that some of what Londo has prophesied in his vision has actually come true. So he can't change some of it. And we've also seen into the future where some of that happens, where Jakar and he kill each other. I sat there wondering, okay, so the shadows have gone, or the Vorlons have gone now. And it looked for a minute like they were going to decimate the planet.
Yeah.
Because of Londo. And that was the swerve there where, oh, it's just in time for the big conflict. And so they have to leave. And my thought is that it's just delayed, that something is going to happen. He's not king yet. He's just prime minister. He and Veer are thinking about going back to Babylon 5 together. And there's stuff that looks like it's different from what we've seen. I am not quite in the same boat as you, Lou, with Londo. I feel like he's done some things that help redeem him a little bit. I know you say no, you're shaking your head no. He did a lot of bad things. Okay, like seriously bad things.
Yeah, see, the thing for me with this is the same kind of dynamic that you've got when Darth Vader throws the Emperor down the shaft. And people say, "Oh, he redeemed himself." I go, "No,
he didn't. He did so many. Yeah,
he did one act that was because of his personal relationship to Luke, but yeah, he still did all those other things. So that one act does not wipe or balance off all the bad things. So same thing with Londo.
I don't think he's redeemed himself. I do feel a little better about him because we did see him cry, and that's one thing, but that's not the point. When he tells Veer, kill me, I feel like that's something that means a lot. He was willing to die to save the planet. And again, it's only one good thing. I get that. I do feel like he's not evil. I feel like
he's the hero of his own story. He's still a villain.
He's been indoctrinated to hate Narns. Yeah. I have to say that. Their whole race has been indoctrinated. Yeah. So I know you and I are not going to agree on this.
No.
I know for a fact.
Where do you sit, Jesse?
So I have the luxury of knowing how the story plays out. So I am going to be non-committal.
Okay.
I think that we still have a season and a half to go. Mm-hmm. Actually, more than that, probably a season and 2/3. So there's a lot of story left to tell. I do love as the shadow vessel is covering the sun, Londo is covered in the shadow to re-stress that he was tainted.
That was a Vorlon ship, though, right?
Yeah, Vorlon. The Vorlon ship, yes. And then the idea of him saying, kill me. To answer an earlier question, I believe, Lou, that once the Emperor was dead, and when Londo says we have much to do, he got people to go plant the bombs. I think that happened afterwards because the Shadows vessels are pretty dormant. And that's when he said they're being stored there. I think they are so arrogant. It's like watching ants scurry around. They're just not going to spend time with them. In my mind canon, that's how that happened. They're not
seeing what the Centauri are doing.
Yeah.
On that island. They're just laying back.
I can buy that.
Yeah. And I agree when Londo says, don't move. And they distort. Now, I wondered, how did he learn there were creatures there? Did he just guess it? And how did they know the weapons would kill them? But whatever. And then the line, ooh, I will have to repaint that. Just such a Londo. And yeah, Veer is the only person that gets what he wants. Everyone else that told Morton did not get what they want.
Oh yeah, what do you want?
And he
That's
said,
right.
and when they show that clip again, which I thought was perfect.
I like that they did the flashback, yes.
Yeah. So, and I'm not just saying this. Go ahead, Karen.
I just want to say it's a quick thing. That I'm still glad Rifa's dead. I do think he was much more malevolent.
Yeah.
Than anyone else. So I'm okay with that. Yeah.
And so the other thing that I think of, one of the points, and once again, I can't believe we're bringing up Breaking Bad again. Boy, that was not on our bingo card.
He's dead.
Yeah. So
he's dead in that show too, isn't he?
Yeah. So but
spoiler.
The character
Come on,
Breaking
it's been
Bad
a couple of years.
kept saying, everything I did for my family, everything I did for my family, everything I did for my family, till the final episode. And he confesses to his wife that he did it because he liked it. He liked the power. And I thought that was a very redemptive moment for him, even though he had done a lot of bad things. And I don't know if he was ever redeemed, but at least he had a moment of truth with his wife.
Yep, honesty.
Unlike that character, I do believe Londo, in the back of his mind, everything he's done has been for the good of Centauri Prime, with the belief that what helps me also helps Centauri Prime. But if he had a choice between what's good for Centauri Prime and what's good for me, I will pick what's for Centauri Prime. I believe that, in my heart, I believe that is his absolutely the reason he did this. And he is mistaken at times of what would be best for Centauri Prime. And that has led to some bad decisions. But that's how I feel on that.
Yeah. And he also, he craves the power.
Yes.
So that's not the best choice.
Right. Absolutely. And
so he's a means that justifies the ends kind of guy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do agree. It was just delicious. And going back to the end, where a couple things. One, Morden, as he's pulling off, says, even if the Shadows lose this war, we have allies, which you guys have already talked about. Us seeing what's going to happen in the future, you're like, oh, is that another just kind of them putting a lamppost to remind you, oh, yeah, we did see that big thing on his neck. What does that mean? So
we see Centauri decimated. We see the parasite. We see that he has taken Sheridan and Delenn hostage.
Yeah.
At that point, he and Jakar kill each other. So we do see a lot of things that still have to be resolved.
And he blames Sheridan for what happened to Centauri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting as well.
Yeah. So, I think a lot to see. But the last thing I do is, I thought, and then we'll move off, is the Veer and Londo's conversation at the end, saying, I still have a lot going on, right? And Veer going, I think none of our gods will mind if Londo Mollari, you have one night of happiness. And just to take and they hug. And I thought that was a really nice moment, because they have had a lovely character arc. And they set the stage that, hey, the show is still called Babylon 5, and we're sending you back to Babylon 5. And oh, by the way, I may have to get out of town because there's a lot of people not happy with me. So wink, wink, audience.
I'm going back.
I'm going back to Babylon 5. We still can call this show Babylon 5 because there will be more time there.
They can take the curtains down.
Yeah.
Because they don't need the throne room anymore.
Any other Centauri stuff we need to talk about?
Yeah, I think this might be another lamppost. I'm not sure.
Okay.
They mentioned in that conversation that because he freed that Narn planet and assassinated the king, emperor, whatever, he is up Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
So where is that going to come in as well? Is he going to have some issues with the home base? Is he still going to be an ambassador or whatever? Jakar, we don't know whether Jakar is going to become an ambassador again. There is a lot of stuff between those two races that we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed at their discussion at the end there that they're going to go back to Babylon 5 because Lando is already the prime minister and he seems very well positioned to become the emperor. I'm
Well,
a little.
but they're mad at him. The council.
Who's mad at him?
The council of Centauri
Why?
Prime. Because he freed Narn and he assassinated the emperor.
Yeah,
they don't want that.
But
Narn free.
He did it to save their planet.
Yeah, but they don't know that. They don't get it. Why would you free Narn?
Not the general population, nor the members of the royal court that supported him are aware, but the larger political body of whatever their version of the House or Senate is, or their legislative body, the Centauri, I think he called it there. And remember, Centauri is very political and family alliance. And so I remember in college that I had a history professor that said Ireland they were talking about how Ireland supported Germany in the war against the UK because they hate England. They would support the devil himself. It was against England. So I think there's still that political thought that I don't care what House Malari does, I'm not going to support it. And he gave away Narn. And then
they were already subjugated. Why did we give them back?
Why did we give this away? And so what do you mean that there's a curse? So I think that there's this turmoil. Look at the U.S. currently, all the political bickering we have back and forth, that I just think that makes sense to me. And I get that it doesn't to you.
Yeah. How much do some people hate Biden, who hasn't made any huge waves or anything? They just hate him because he took over when their president didn't get the White House back. And it's not really logical.
Yeah,
they just didn't want to.
I get those perspectives. It just seems to me that when Lando was made prime minister, they would have explained to the populace why he was put in that position, so that it would have been made public knowledge of the actions that he had taken to save their home world. I do agree that your arguments about entrenchments and families and whatnot and political ideologies is also very strong, but
they
don't know.
Don't care.
Does the emperor have any heirs to the throne?
Cartagia, no.
Yeah, if you put Lando's record of what he's done for Centauri against anybody else, like how can anybody else even come close to making the claim? But I understand for the show they need him back on Babylon 5.
I will pardon me for bringing real world politics again, but I remember the argument that Hillary Clinton was a senator. She was Secretary of State. She had been very active as First Lady. She had done all these different roles, and Obama, I remember saying, Bill, you and I, all apologies to us, there's never been someone with more experience. I might argue the first George Bush, who was head of the CIA and VP and everything, and that doesn't matter. They don't care because it was Hillary
Clinton. She has boobs.
And they don't care because it's Lando Malari and House Malari. Right. I'm going to hate. But yeah,
we already gave you the black president. We're not going to give you a female president. I feel like that was the thought. I was 100% sure she was going to win.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people were, but I don't think we've seen that with Lando's house history, but she came to the thing with a lot of baggage because of Bill Clinton.
Yeah, exactly.
And all the email things and whatnot. But Lando hasn't really, his family's not really been shown to be carrying much luggage, just beyond the fact that he's just a house that's maybe never been that prominent in power before the events of Babylon 5. So
and what could be interesting too is in a different world or in the future to do a history of House Malari and see how much bad crap they may have pulled. So great discussion.
There are things that make sense in that he feels like he has to go, but there's also nits.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember thinking this, but I know that the president can govern from Air Force One, from Camp David, or wherever you're, like, whether it's in Crawford, Texas, where was the Texas White House, or the Reagan in California, or Bush from
Kennebunkport.
But yeah, wherever. But you still think you got a job to do, dude. Okay. So anyway, yes.
Yeah. I'll just add
Yeah,
one more thing. I'm just thinking of it
please.
because to support your argument is I don't know if you've seen the recent trailer for this upcoming movie next spring, Civil War.
Yes, I saw it last night.
There's a scene where there's a soldier played by Jesse Plemons, and he's holding up a family, and the father of the family says, "There's been a mistake here. We're all Americans." And he says, "Oh yeah? What kind of American are you?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very chilling. And I think that's where Londo is. What kind of centurion are you?
Yeah,
Kind of where we are
really well
too.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just as a side note, Chris, Linda, and I all went and saw the Iron Claw
Oh yeah.
last night at the movie theater because he's a huge wrestling fan, and
Right.
the Von Erichs from Dallas, really well done. Really well done movie. And I saw the preview for that, and I went, wow, that looks chilling.
Yeah.
Great. All right, so let's go back to Delenn and John. John's like upset. He's poking the bear, and finally it happens that the Vorlons and Shadows have their attention. They pulled Delenn and John to somewhere else, this gap in space and time, maybe, but somehow through magic, let's not look too closely because Lorian has magic. Everyone is seeing the discussion, and the Shadows and the Vorlons don't know that. And the Shadows and Vorlons try to make their case on why both of them. The Vorlon is a character in ice. According to JMS, it's because they're frozen in their beliefs. The Shadows change to a lot of different characters because they believe in chaos and moving, and we get a debate. Lou, let's talk about that debate, and then we'll get to John's solution to that.
Okay. That answered my question about why they showed a human character for the Vorlons, or for the Vorlons. That was confusing to me. I got the symbology of the being trapped in the amber, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a little segue here because I've been holding my tongue on this, but because I did mention it at the beginning of the episode. But even in this sequence where they had characters from the Babylon 5 cast coming in to say a line or two, where the hell is Garibaldi? Like I do not understand what's going on this. If I didn't know better, I feel like JMS has a vendetta against this character. He's the third billing character. He's not in this episode at all. Probably the most pivotal episode of the series to date. And there's nothing for him to do in this episode. I just don't get what's going on here. I feel like there's some sort of
Franklin was in it.
Yeah, like exactly, like Franklin. I don't understand how you have your third build character in so little of this season, and I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but it almost seems like there's some sort of JMS vendetta against this character, and maybe I'm just reading too much into it. But I'm curious, Jesse, if is this a feeling that's shared by other fans of the series, or am I just?
I think because you love Garibaldi, you're now like when you buy a new red Toyota, you see a red Toyota everywhere.
Yeah.
In that there's something called that. I think because I had not thought about that till you brought it up this morning. And then I thought, why wasn't he someone who said, because he would have worked one of those lines perfectly.
Yeah, we got plenty of Ivanova.
Like he should have been leading his own ship or something.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the behind the scenes that you know of?
No, not that I know of. I do not. I will. Yeah.
Maybe we'll check it out, right?
Yeah, I will. I will do that.
Was he
sick? You do it.
Was he sick or something? I don't know, but it's
his arm is healed. Part of that was that he broke his arm, but that's been quite some time ago.
Like I'm just thinking, and it did happen, but it'd be if you had Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and for half the season, McCoy's nowhere to be seen, and he's getting third billing. It's just so weird to me. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I agree. And if like the red shirt had more episodes.
Yeah. Anyhow, so that point aside, the arguments were the ones that we've been hearing pretty well for the arc of the series. And this season is really, and I know the show likes to scupper your perceptions and whatnot, but boy, the Vorlons really took a big hit this season. They're just as petty to me as the Shadows. And for superior races, and I know people have responded in comments that just because they're been around longer doesn't mean they're better or than anything. But I just can't help but feeling that you would become more enlightened the more mature you get, and that you would be better than what these two races show themselves as to be, and why somebody like Lorien just lets them go around doing what they're doing as well. But at least we got the answer to the ages finally of man, so that was good. And yeah, so I don't know. Sometimes the answers is if it's not the answer that you were expecting, then it's deflating in a little bit. So I can only judge it on what was presented, not what I wanted presented. And from that perspective, I thought the show carried it off as well as it could be. It's not the reveals that I would have liked to seen for these two races, but it is what it is. And I thought that the differences between the two races and how they presented their arguments was well done, but it basically was order versus chaos kind of argument, which again we've heard before. Yeah, Sheridan and Delenn did well with their things, and I particularly like the last Vorlon who had the same shape as Delenn. And for a second there, when Delenn went to Sheridan, I thought, wait a minute, isn't that the Vorlon Delenn? I thought the real Delenn was on the right, not on the left. So I don't know, but I guess it was like a shell game, and maybe I just didn't catch the last switch.
Or it was when the camera wasn't on, or
whatever. Yeah. Or maybe it was a blooper.
Right. Could be.
Yeah.
Either way, the one that's being projected by the Shadows isn't going to go over to Sheridan because it's just a vision in his head. So one of the things that I found interesting was that we got a little payoff with Lita, that we see that there's still some Vorlon in her.
Yeah.
And that she starts this whole vision thing. And again, it's something that she can do because she was a telepath before all this, I'm assuming. And so she can plant things in their mind. And the Vorlon helps, I'm assuming. I can't remember. Olkesh. And I'm assuming it was Olkesh that was in her. I appreciate that we saw, I don't know, was it Kosh? It sure looked like Kosh as the representative and whatever the shadow is. I like that they brought around in a circle the whole who are you and what do you want thing between, and Sheridan says, who are you and what do you want? And he's just done. He's set up this whole thing and gotten help from all the races. And he realizes that they're going to lose unless they figure out some way to reason with them and to say, we don't want you anymore. And to back it up, and getting the first ones was a really great payoff there, because they realized that our two races aren't going to be able to handle the first ones being in the fight. So I guess we gotta retreat. And them coming, and I liked that they all had different ships. It was very cool looking. I do like that they finally, and that Lorien says that's why we had to have all of them, because we all need to go. And it's like Lorien saw where this was going. And Lou, I wonder why he didn't just do something. He apparently has all this power, but I'm guessing he didn't so that all the races would come together.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of like Gandalf.
He needed that to happen in order for it to turn out the way he wanted. Mm-hmm. And I like the solution. I like how Sheridan handled it. I did that we saw. And the fight, all those ships, and we got those round ships, and they were so cool seeing all those different models. I'm assuming that was John Iacovelli that did all that. And he's very talented. it's a shame that we lost him this last year, but I'm always astounded at the level of CGI or model work or all that. And because it was in the 90s, on the mid 90s. So
I was going to ask you guys, what did you think of the space battle?
yeah, it wasn't like a huge space battle. There was definitely some conflict and some shooting. And I love that one of the ships got in the way of the White Star in order to save Sheridan. It really shows that they've united against this common enemy. And I hope it stays like that. Going by history, it's not going to. But I do appreciate that they showed how united these races all are right now. I love the battle scenes. I thought they were done really well. And like I said, the ships are just amazing looking. And the way they resolved it made a lot of sense to me, that they set all this up the way they did. And it was like an aha moment when I realized why all the first ones had to be there.
So yes, I knew that was the reason why you guys were talking last time about this. Why are we spending so much time looking for the old ones? And so, Lou, your thoughts on this, that their debate and you talked a little bit, Karen, I want to hear more. Do you think, I mean, John just telling them get the hell out of our galaxy is a little bit like, why would that work? So Lou, take it away, and then Karen, add your thoughts too.
Yeah, there's just addressing the actual visuals for the space ball. That I was very impressed for the era and the budget of the show. I don't know if this is one of those episodes where they spent more budget-wise on this particular episode than they did on other ones. Maybe the other ones because they have bottle episodes quite often, so they could save money on and put it into this one episode. And I don't know how long it took for the special effects team to create all these ships and battle sequences. I thought they were really well done. The big difference you can tell is between the technology of that time and this time is you don't get that over the shoulder or a first person, third person, really close view of what the ships are doing. It's all from the side kind of thing. So that was noticeable, but still it was very impressive to have that many different looking ships in that particular battle on that. Yeah, I was very impressed from that perspective. But as you get older, at least for me, those kind of scenes, unless there's a real personal connection to somebody, say Star Wars, when you got Luke in his X-Wing, where you're really with one particular character or a set of characters seeing the battle from their perspective, you don't really get that in this kind of on these kind of sequences. So it's just, okay, this is really cool eye candy, but let's get back to the story because we know how this is going to play out, kind of thing. And I'm less tolerant of that kind of stuff and now as I get older than I was before. But it was well done. As to the resolution of the battle and everything, and the discussion, it brought to mind a couple of touch points from other franchises. All the first ones going into the wherever they were going reminded me of the end of the Lord of the Rings, where they all go to the Grey Havens on the last ship to leave Middle Earth. And the argument that Sheridan had with the Vorlons and the Shadows reminds me a lot of the Star Trek episode, the original series, Who Mourns for Adonais, where they tell this alien was Apollo to us as a Greek god that we've grown beyond that and that we don't need that anymore. Those were really strong echoes for me watching this particular section of the episodes. Of course, the big difference is in the Star Trek episode, there was a little regret expressed that would have really been that bad to gather a few laurel leaves. But here, there's no love lost. Just it's time for you guys to move on, and it would be interesting to see the fourth age be when it's humanity's turn to have to leave. That would be interesting to see. I don't know if that's something that's even contemplated in this series. Probably not, but yeah. So I really like that I finally got my answer to why they were talking about the ages in the prologue, at least in the previous seasons. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, in the first age, man was too primitive to be considered part of the larger picture. In the second age, man was intelligent, aware of the greater world, but his fate was manipulated by outside forces. Now, with all the older races gone, man has entered an age of self-determination. Karen, any thoughts?
Yeah, just a couple little things. Number one, with the vision, were we supposed to see someone in that veiled figure in ice, or was it just a generic
I think just the
person?
generic.
Okay.
I looked and I could not find. I looked last night and couldn't find anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we do see in the shadows that
Right.
they use analogs of other people.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. And one of the things that bothers me about space shows, and it's not Babylon 5, it's all of them. Why are all the ships in the same plane? They're all facing the same way,
Yeah.
upright. There's no up and down in space, right?
Yeah.
So they could be here with them here. But they all show up and they're all right at the same. And I would just hope that a show that's really smart would maybe show that a little bit. Even the space fight, they're all on the same plane.
I've always liked to anticipated a scene where two ships are coming together and one's upside down to the other, and then they stop, and then one of the ships turns the other way so that they're facing the same plane. Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like it's not really in that three-dimensional type thing, but that's not just with Babylon 5 for me.
You need to see Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. Every show that's set in space is like that. So
it's just a convenience for the viewers. Yeah.
I would love to see a show that does a space fight where they have to like actually turn at one point so that they can be a fleet, where they come in and they're like this. One of them has to turn. I just find it interesting. That's all. And I wanted to know if the veiled figure was someone in particular.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember watching this kind of going, what? Wait, that's it? That's all it took? And I still feel that way to a certain degree. And I guess what it was to me in my mind is that the Shadows of Vorlons were tired of the dance, and someone finally gave them an excuse to, you mean I don't have to make the 7 fishes every Christmas Eve? By the way, that's for you, Lou. I don't know if you've seen The Bear yet, Karen?
No.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, side note, you can cut this out, Lou. Friday night, we were like, let's watch something. And I said, would you guys mind watching this? And
you showed them the Christmas episode?
My wife and son went to bed mad.
From that episode?
Yes, but yesterday they kept at any random point, Lou Sisma, do we have a problem?
Really?
Yeah. Nice. And then, they have thanked me over and over again that how powerful it was. And they said, how did you keep watching it by yourself, Dad?
Mm-hmm. Without pulling them in.
Yeah. No, because it's so disturbing.
Yeah. And most painful Christmas family get together episode
I've ever seen. Is it cringy?
Oh, yes.
Does it make your legs hurt? Because that's the kind of thing that
And one of the things,
and Saul from Breaking Bad has probably the most cringiest moment in the whole episode. Is wow, dude, shut up.
Is that Bob Odenkirk?
And there's a great scene. Anyway, one of the things my son does is every Saturday night, early Sunday morning, he gets up and he puts cowboy throws and a banner, everything all over it. We always joke the cowboy fairy came. He decorates the house for the cowboy game. And
cowboy on the shelf.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes, and then we have a CD that we play before every game. It's the Greatest Cowboy Hits, Volume 1. And it has clips. It's like all these different songs. I thought you meant songs. Yeah, different rock and roll songs, but also clips of, and Emmitt Smith to the right. The Cowboys are back on top of the mountain. Jerry Jones, we must win. We will win. Winning is the name of the game. You could tell how many times we heard the CV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through the walk of life.
So just last night, he looked at me and he goes, and every Sunday, I decorate this house. I play the CD. And does anyone thank me? No.
That's funny, even though I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it is. You won't enjoy it as much because you don't know the characters, but it's about an hour. and you will go.
I'm planning on watching it.
Good. All right.
Yeah,
I'm
Jamie Lee
3
Curtis plays the
episodes
mother.
in.
Yeah, she.
Yeah, I
plays
saw
Curtis.
that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. And one of the things, now that you mentioned thinking of other shows and stuff, at one point, and this is in my mind because of Veer, but when they said, it isn't over, and I went, it's not over until we say it is.
Yeah.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Germans? Forget it, he's rolling. And it ain't over now. It's from Animal House. And I know that whole saying, and I was like, okay, should I pause it and say it? Or am I going to?
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
It was great.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a new age, and they say they can stop being afraid of shadows. And I agree. This feels like this could have been the series finale, right?
Mm-hmm.
This definitely could have been a season finale. And we wonder what's going to go next. I did love the Susan when Marcus goes, did we just win the war? She goes, don't jinx it. Don't.
I like them together.
I did
They're
too.
so cute. Even just talking, they're cute.
Yeah, there was a conversation that Lorian had with Susan about her being afraid to show her feelings, which I assume is planting seeds for the future as well.
I hope so. Yeah, he says embrace love. Yeah. Love is one of the most powerful things you guys do. All right. Anything else
you and Marcus?
Yeah. Anything else we need to cover about this one?
No, I think we covered more than just the episode.
Yes. All right.
As we are wont to do.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Pop culture.
Yeah. Karen, rating.
I think I'll give it 8 Beyond the Rims.
Okay.
Ooh, Beyond the Rims of Starlight.
Okay.
Sorry.
Lou?
I'm conflicted here because this was a very seminal episode for the series, but it didn't totally land for me. But it was good, and I'm going to give it 8 DeLoreans.
Oh, nice.
DeLoreans.
Yeah. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10 Third Age of Mankind. As we've been doing this season, the P-Fry rating on Lurker's Guide to Babylon 5 is a 9.3. So the normal listener liked it a little more than us on our average, but still, I think, and I almost said 9 out of 10. Where the hell is Garibaldi? For Luke.
Right.
We do have some feedback. So, Karen, you want to share with us?
We do. Hold on. I got to minimize my Zoom window because I always hide these. So Nathan, I'll start with Nathan's. So here it is, an unexpected end of the Shadow War story. For me, it was very abrupt. And when watching, I thought it was about 6 out of 10 as an ending and disappointing, though it thought it needed more time and more power. And looking back, JMS cutting corners with Revelation in Zahadum and with Lorian's introduction has probably contributed to it. Another part that wasn't quite there is the fact that the first one switched from all-out destruction to agreeing to talk to younger races. And John and Delenn in particular, I wanted more. That is, until I played Mass Effect and had basically copy-pasted political structure from Babylon 5 wholesale. Big station, UN-like governing structure, ambassadors, intriguing, first contact war, as well as big plot. Only they had ancient, scary red crabs instead of ancient, scary black spiders. Mass Effect is really good. This is Karen musing. I really enjoyed Mass Effect. Yvonne Strahovski did one of the voices in Mass Effect. So.
Mass Effect 2.
Yep. I'm talking about the whole as an entity.
Yep.
I played them. So.
Yep. Same here.
Mass Effect is famous for its disappointing ending, only in their case, the reason for Shadows 2 to talk with the younger ones and agree with them was plain stupid, not just undercranked like in B5. And the way they agreed to cease their action was much more rushed. We'll do what you want, then the game ends. It was honestly bafflingly bad. Yeah, it's a game. That's what I'm saying. When I got, it's in a snow globe. Yeah. When I got to that part, I was yelling, and I don't yell. You started from copying B5. If you pivoted into its ending too, rip off more and improve instead of doing worse. So with rewatches and Mass Effect experience, that episode retrospectively became better for me. It's held in high regard now, but while being received pretty well at the time, as far as I remember, reactions were mixed. Psy rating from the fans is not the highest in the series. High points of season 2 and 3 are higher. And Usenet discussions I've read semi-recently had mixed comments. I really loved Lorian's conversation with Ivanova. It was both heartbreaking on a personal level for both Ivanova and Lorian, and a general one, and it finally explained everything about the first ones. They are immortal, advanced forms of younger races, except for Lorian's race, who were that way from the beginning. Centauri scenes are the best. Londo's fury and then cold revenge is amazing to watch, and JMS knows how to use the nukes. It's the third time for Sheridan and the first for Londo. Do mass drivers count considering the effect? As an aside, people using Veer's GIF with the finger wave irritates me to no end. I think it's a terrible, heavy spoiler. Use the first one, not the payoff. As great as this moment is, I heard several times that people reacted, oh, so that's what it's about, instead of just feeling glee. With anticipation of hearing your reaction, Nathan. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. That was great, as
I
always.
loved that feedback very much. Okay, and we got a second one from Texas on the Shock. He says, who are you? What do you want? Why are you here? Where are you going? But after all that, it turns out the most important question was, really, you're not going to leave us alone, are you, Daddy? The war comes to an end, not with a sword, but with a word. Yeah, I know. That's fun. Lou's still laughing.
We didn't talk about that, but it was sad when they, like,
the shadow
you
says, are you going to come with us?
Yeah, like...
I still don't get that dependency between those races and the Lorian, but
yeah, I know.
Weird.
There's another phrase. Oh, I'm sorry. The war comes to an end, not with the sword, but with a word. That word being, get the hell out of our galaxy. There's another phrase that has cropped up over and over throughout Babylon 5. When the time is right. A few episodes ago on Zahadum, Lorian said he was waiting. Waiting for what? He said for someone to talk to, but what I think that means is that when someone reached him, it meant the cycle had changed. The Shadows and Vorlons had this whole thing set up. They'd go through the motions every millennia or so, but then along comes Sheridan. Sheridan begins disrupting things. First by convincing Kosh to attack the Shadows directly, and then by going to Zahadum and then attacking it. When he encountered Lorian, bearing the remnants of Vorlon, of all things, Lorian knew that something had changed, and this might be the time he had been waiting for. He helps in rounding up the last few first ones, but one thing still remains to be seen. Are the younger races truly ready to stand on their own? Can they stand up to those who are more powerful and show they can stand on their own 2 feet? If they can, then the time has come for the Shadows, the Vorlons, and all the other first ones, including Lorian himself, to depart this corner of the universe and let their charges grow into their potential. This is something that has a personal meaning for JMS. In his book, he talks about his childhood where his father would beat up his mother, and afterwards she would gather the children around her, not to make sure they were all right, but to show off her bruises. Look what he did to me, that brute. Leaving the kids caught in between their father's violence and their mother's manipulation. That's really sad.
That is.
Yeah. Here, Sheridan and Delenn, speaking for the younger races, reject them. The other races rally around them, and finally Lorian says, it's time to go. They are ready. The galaxy should be left to them. On Centauri Prime, Londo is desperately trying to clear the shadow influence, taking a page out of Sheridan's book for the island they're on, disposing of Mr. Morden and his associates, everything, except he forgot one, himself. Now this begs the question, if Veer had actually killed Londo, would the Vorlons have spared the planet, or would they have destroyed it anyway, just to be sure? My thought, they would have destroyed it anyway.
Yeah, because they're dicks.
They are. They're the worst.
That's all established, yes.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to note that of all the people who answered Morden's question and got what they asked for, Veer is the only one to not regret it. The reason I think is very simple. He essentially wished for evil to be destroyed. So we have entered the third age. What happens now? Maybe a 5-day pass to Disney Planet. I'm going to Disneyland.
Surely.
Yay!
Yeah, this is the Texas on the Shock signing off. Until Zaveni in Valen's name. Very good feedback, you guys.
Super. All right, Lou, anything on the YouTube page?
Yes, we got some very good comments for the previous episode, The Long Night. John Austin, we were talking about Bryan Cranston and the disconnect between, how popular he has become as opposed to the time when this episode aired. He said, I'm one of the few people who did not see any of the Breaking Bad or Malcolm in the Middle episodes, and Bryan Cranston's performance in this episode still stands out as a strong, capitalized performance. He earned my respect. I agree with Karen and Lou about the purpose behind the mission given to Bryan's ship. Does he mean Bryan Cranston's ship? Or I'm not quite sure what he means there. And that text is talking about when Veer killed the Emperor. He believes it diminishes Veer's character if it was an accident. The thing about him is that all through the show, he's been taking more and more agency. So for the most important moment of his life to wind up being an accident would not be complimentary to him, in my opinion. And then Karen had to pipe in and say she agrees 100%. I'm going to rephrase how I said that. I believe that he purposely meant to do it. It's just that his execution was in a fumbling, accidental way, as opposed to a more skilled thing. That's just the way he's like a Peter Sellers Pink Panther. He just gets the job done, but it's in a very inelegant, bumbling way. And Veer is very much like that. So that's what I was.
Yeah, and I did qualify it. He may not have planned it, but he knew it was his duty.
Yes.
Just so you know, don't take it out of context.
I was just teasing you.
I know.
And Simon Giles said, I have a weird Mandela effect with Cranston, as I'm sure I remember when I saw this episode thinking, hey, it's Hal from Malcolm in the Middle. But checking the air dates, that can't have been the case. But what I don't remember is watching Malcolm in the Middle and thinking, hey, it's Ranger Erickson. That's pretty good.
I love that.
Karen says that she had the same thing happen to her too. It's very disconcerting. And then he mentions it's a strange thing, the brain, mine is at least. And so I think that's very common for a lot of us. Yeah. We juxtapose timelines based on our preference for things that we like. Iffy has a very small quote. It says, the war is over if you want it, John Lennon.
Nice.
And then TMC Grenier says that we should watch In the Beginning after season 4 and before season 5. So here we go.
Good.
Thanks, everyone, for the comments. As always, muchly appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. As we said, we're recording this on Christmas Eve. I hope everyone listening is having a great holiday season.
What good timing, that we got this big episode on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, what an early present. Yes. I hope that whether you celebrate or not, it is a wonderful time and you get to spend some time with people you love. I know that I get a wonderful Christmas present every Sunday by spending time with two of my favorite people.
Who are they?
Me too.
Yes.
Your wife and your son.
Yes. If someone wants to reach you, how can they, Karen?
I'm at Elveria on the various social medias, and my blog is alicestuff.com. And you can find me those millions places.
And how many books are you up to?
I'm not going to do it.
Oh, no.
I'm very upset about this. 200 and something.
Okay.
I don't remember. My goal is 350, and I've always beaten it.
A book a day?
Yeah, pretty much. I've gone into the 400s before. So,
my God.
I'm very disappointed in this year.
I think my long-term effect from COVID is my desire to read has really crumpled. I'm really struggling to get through 5 or 10 books a year ever since COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, I always do 52 to try to do one a week, and I did much better this year. I think I'm at 70. So I had a good. But of course, some of those are like small children books that's going to cheat. Yeah, I hit 93. I had 60 and I've hit 93. according to
That's good.
Congratulations.
Major.
So I'm happy about that.
Of course, it signed me out of Goodreads, so I can't see.
Yeah, Lou, how about you? Where we can reach you?
You can reach us on YouTube at Lou's Reviews, where these podcasts are hosted, along with our JKL Media podcast and my Stephen King and the Writers Interview podcast. On Twitter, you can find me at Lou W. Sitzma.
So
yes,
I actually did log in now. I'm 79 books behind schedule, so I don't know whether I can do it or not. I've read
7 days.
Yeah, 263 of 350. And by the way, some of those are compilations, so I might go through and separate out the books. Not that's gonna do much, but who knows.
All right, I am at just on Twitter. There is a just recently released a episode of Springsteen Year in Review over at Set Lusting Bruce that I and 3 guests discussed the year in Bruce, and I was pretty proud of that one, so check it out. So I think next week we will be back, our last recording of 2023. And in the meantime, I want to wish everyone a happy week. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Karen. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Happy holidays, everyone. Bye-bye. And scene.